Welcome to Digital Thread Bites, a workforce development podcast produced by the Digital Thread Initiative team at Sinclair College in Dayton, Ohio. In this podcast, the team discusses the coming revolution in digital, highlighting digital transformation success stories and opportunities for learning. Here are your hosts, Elizabeth Generous and Jennifer Gravitt.
Welcome, everybody. We are about to bring you the fourth episode in the Digital Thread Bites podcast. I am here with Elizabeth. Say hello, Elizabeth.
Hi, everyone.
And we are also here today to talk about MEP. And we're going to let you hear exactly what that means from our special guests. Alex Hoffman and Matt Hoing are here from FastLane. We're going to lead off by just saying before you can digitally transform anything, you'll need a solid process. We're going to let these gentlemen explain how they help everybody find their way in this process. So if you could start us off by telling us what is FastLane and maybe explain what an MEP is and what FastLane does for this region and Ohio.
Will do. Hi, this is Alex. I guess MEP is a nationwide program managed by the Department of Commerce and the state governments tasked with helping small and medium-sized manufacturers to be more competitive. FastLane, the Dayton area recipient, supports local manufacturers by offering subsidized and non-subsidized consulting and other support in areas such as continuous improvement, advanced manufacturing, and workforce development. Boy, that sounds like a paragraph of text.
That was great.
So
Alex.
well written.
So I'm Matt, and certainly glad to be here and allowing us to come into your guys' homes. And I just wanted to kind of give you a brief of what the FastLane, our region, what an engagement might look like to a potential client. So we'll come in to the potential client, which is a manufacturer. We'll look for an opportunity. It could be in the areas of safety, quality, or a lot of people are experiencing on-time delivery issues. Maybe we look at optimizing that manufacturing process using lean techniques that we would deliver on site, with the goal of teaching these processes and teaching the resources to fish on their own, become comfortable to have an internal resource at their company that would be able to figure out how to do a similar process or problem and have an in-house resource so they're no longer having to spend money for a consultant to come back in. It's a crazy way or a crazy system that we have that we like to consider ourselves to be worked out of a job versus having to keep coming back into the plant. We actually consider it a compliment when something like that happens.
I kind of like that.
So terrible sales method, but that is what we try to do. Another engagement might look like helping a small manufacturer with scoping and selection of automation needs, which is Alex's bailiwick. He comes in and he'll look and see what the customer really needs. So we want to make sure that the customer is not overspending on something that they don't need in that automation field. So what is the art of the possibility, and then what is the actual right size need for them, and ultimately reduce the risk in that purchase, making sure that purchase delivers what we need it to do. Once we understand what their business does, we can start to connect them with available grants, internships, suppliers or customers of their products or processes, and even training programs. Most of the time, those are offered at no cost. So we have a lot of different things that we can offer the community, the manufacturing community, the manufacturing companies.
So we also see a great opportunity for lean techniques to be used with digital thread and information to improve manufacturers' results. So that's one of the reasons we're here.
That's fantastic. So you really do kind of load a toolbox for everybody, and you want them to be able to use it on their own.
Absolutely.
When you're done with them.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So we want to figure out a process, or we want to figure out some kind of a project, and then we come on site, we teach them, we allow them to kind of understand how that process works, and then try to deploy it to another area. So whether it be a housekeeping 5S event or some other thing, but we want to have that internal champion built in to that project so that they can go on and they can redeploy it in other areas of the plant.
Yeah, just so it's clear, we handle an 8-county area around Dayton. We try to offer those services in the region, and MEP program in Ohio is quite strong. I think that we've got good state government backing, which isn't always the case. Ohio's a great place to make things.
You guys are Dayton area, 8 counties. Are there others?
Yes.
So we're regionally based. Ohio, we have 88 counties, but there is one in Columbus, one in Cleveland, one in Cincinnati, one in Appalachia, and then one in Toledo, and then us in Dayton. We have 5 other counterparts.
Okay, so 6 MEPs in the state of Ohio.
6 MEP recipients, 1 MEP. Starts at the top. Ohio is the MEP, and then we're subrecipients of that grant.
Okay.
So does that make sense?
That makes sense. Yes,
so there's
that's
6
helpful.
recipients based on region.
So how did you get into this area, and
Oh, yeah.
how did you start with FastLane?
Sure, I'll start. Grew up doing engineering, graduated in engineering, and eventually became a site manager. There was a lot of issues at the site that I was given the keys to the castle of, and I was failing in that role, and I needed some help. By God's grace, I was able to connect with a continuous improvement lean consultant that was exactly what we needed. So the reason why I'm here today is because I witnessed firsthand why and how important this lean manufacturing is and how it can help a company, right? So when I switched roles, I wanted to now become a facilitator or an instructor of this great solution, right? So it's allowed me to share the knowledge to help companies by succeeding in their quality, safety, delivery costs, culture, and using those lean methodologies. That's how I ended up here today.
And then there's me. So I guess I'm a mechanical engineer. I've got nearly 30 years experience, primarily been focused in manufacturing and I guess production automation. I guess a couple of highlights, building high-speed assembly lines for automotive and medical clients while working in the U.S. and Europe, production ramp-up of consumer electronic devices working in Asia, and then prior to working for FastLane, I worked for UDRI, helping the United States Air Force get more familiar with 3D printing to help with creating replacement components for older aircraft and things along those lines. Been with FastLane for nearly 3 years now. Really see it as an opportunity to provide help and knowledge to do whatever they do better. Yeah, just really feel very fortunate to be able to help out.
I mean, the both of you have this mindset of how do we help you make it better, which is fantastic.
That's exactly right. And that's actually our if we had to boil down what FastLane is just helping local manufacturers succeed. We're not out there for ourselves. We're out there to try to solve problems that they have in-house that will make them succeed and become successful, whether it be the lowest person on the floor or the person that has to pay the bills. So anywhere in between, we're just trying to grow a vibrant manufacturing community in Dayton and Ohio, and then the United States as a whole, right? So we are never trying to look for solutions overseas. We feel like we've always got everything that we need most of the time in the Dayton area, whether that's a supplier or a customer, and then we just link them together.
Dayton's got a proud industrial history, the need to learn about that, and I think that to some extent the United States has given up too much in terms of allowing manufacturing to be pulled overseas, et cetera. You know, sometimes there may be specializations that exist in other locations, or, you know, the cost of labor just makes it untenable to do it in the United States, but I think that a lot of things can be done here, especially with automation and the advice of smart guys like us.
Well, you alluded to this earlier, talking about digital thread. So if you could talk to us about what role you think continuous improvement would play in the digital thread.
So I was going to say that will be a question that needs to be broken down into 2 parts.
Okay.
So we have continuous improvement and we have digital thread, right? So
Right.
to break it down, we need to understand what both are, right?
Yes.
So continuous improvement, it's a combination of eliminating waste and processes, which is lean manufacturing,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's improving quality through eliminating process variability, and that's to make a quality product. So that's Six Sigma. So Lean Six Sigma plays a part in continuous improvement. Ultimately, when you combine those two and you're really good at it, you're delivering what the customer wants when they want it, error-free or defect-free. And that's ultimately what you want to supply to a customer, because that keeps them coming back, right? You miss one of those 3 or all those 3, and you probably don't have a customer base anymore. Digital thread, you need data to make sure that you have good continuous improvement and you can identify the areas that need to be continuously improved. But you also need the digital thread to get the good data. So it's actually paired together. like using digital thread to get that data to make sure that you know where to focus your continuous improvement efforts to get you the biggest value.
Symbiotic.
It's like it's
Symbiotic.
Symbiotic, man.
That's a $10 word. Had to
Should change the title of this podcast.
yeah, really. So
Symbiotic, man.
this is interesting because it brings me back to when I was at my days at the site manager, and I would call up my mentor and say, I have a question for you, and he would ask, what is the problem and how do I know it's a problem we're solving, right? And what he was saying is, do you have data to support this problem is big enough to give resources to it, whether that's money or manpower? And it forced me to quantify the impact of the project before starting down that problem-solving decision. I think the digital thread gives us that information to make better decisions on what we want to focus on. Because there's so many problems. We can go into four walls of any manufacturer, and they have thousands of problems. The problem is, what are the vital few? And what data do you have that says these are the vital few, that if you solve these, it will help 80% of your process. And then after we solve it, we want the data to support us that it actually solved the problem by either reducing or increasing whatever that key metric is that we're trying to follow. So that's digital thread and lean.
Yeah, so digital thread allows you to have quantifiable metrics based on real data, right? So oftentimes when we walk onto a shop floor, you'll ask somebody, hey, how often is that machine running over there? They'll be like, oh, it's running 70% of the time. You're like, really? Is it really running that? What? How about we see if that's the case, right? So to Matt's point, digital thread, it's about data gathering, putting focus in the right areas, and then after you've made an improvement, following up on what you've done to see if the time and money that you invested actually is paying off.
So our reach for this podcast is small and medium manufacturers that might be interested in the digital thread, that might be thinking about ways that they can get their times down, that they can improve their costs. When a small or medium manufacturer comes to you guys, what do you advise them on or to do?
Any project or process that you want to start with, you really want to understand the problem that you're trying to address, right? So I come at it as if it's a problem and the manufacturer, we're sitting down and we're talking to that small, medium-sized manufacturer, I'll ask them, okay, what problems do you have? Do you have a safety problem? Do you have a quality problem? Do you have a lead time or on-time delivery problem? Do you have a cost problem? Or do you have a morale problem? And if I hear cost is a problem, I actually try to say, okay, that's probably not what you want to be looking at. You want to be looking at ways to improve your safety, quality, or on-time delivery, because that'll take care of your cost. But before prescribing a solution, actually understand what you're trying to address, and then you can kind of go down a deeper dive into what is the prescription for that. Is it lean? Is it digital transformation? Is it automation? Is it a combination? Because Alex and I have done several projects together, and lean only gets you so far, and then automation, but there's a bridge between the two, right? So having that ability to connect the two is huge, and we've had very good success doing that.
Yeah, and then once you've got a problem addressed and you have identified that as what you're going after, you got to make sure that the organization is actually ready to change if change is required to improve that situation. It's got to come from the top down. It may be some sort of a cultural limitation. It may be top-level management resistant to change. It may be an ROI issue. You know, if a digital thread initiative or an automation initiative is going to cost real money, are they ready to do that?
Yeah, and exactly. So once they do jump in and they've decided that this is something that they're willing to invest resources into, I always like to use the start small and then to build the momentum and then let data drive it, right? So are we winning or losing, or what impact is it going to have on the business?
It's very encouraging, too, because you're trying to help them. They have this perceived problem that you're going to identify, but like the way you just went through, is it this, or this? And you're like, well, if it's this, it's probably actually this. And you help them get to the root of it,
right?
Not just put a Band-Aid on it.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's pretty encouraging if somebody wanted to work with you guys to know what they could expect in that manner. So we've come to the point in our podcast where we ask the same question of all of our guests: what keeps you guys up at night?
So what I see right now is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to reshore and expand manufacturing in the United States. So this Opportunity is driven by geopolitical concerns in East Asia, needs that were pointed out in the pandemic, supply chain things that we see every day, and then favorable government support for organizations like the MEP network. But if we can't provide skilled workers to meet those manufacturing needs, then that opportunity will be lost, right? Mm-hmm. So what we see in the manufacturing workforce is generational and demographic shifts, but manufacturing needs to up its game in terms of making the manufacturing shop floor more welcoming environment, an environment where people feel like their brains are being used as opposed to just their brawn, right? So I think manufacturing needs to reach out to more people and to make it a more attractive environment.
And I would say, for me, the small, medium manufacturers not taking the opportunities that we have currently, not seeking to improve or being happy with good enough, and I'll kind of dive into each one. So for the opportunities, there's so much of this Industry 4.0 discussion, like 3D printing robots and use software that we were talking about, right? And they don't have to be expensive, but they're available and they can make you very, very competitive. So I understand the risk of companies not understanding what they're trying to get. And that's where we could come in and we could say, this is a minimal cost. Alex actually did a project one time and we found something on Amazon for $33 that solved their problem. The improved part is when you identify a project or a problem, you're going to start to attack that area. I don't think we fully use the collective brain power of the company. We tend to lean on the people that are in the corner offices, but that's the issue that I see is they're not the ones actually doing, and they're not actually working on the floor in this process for the 40 hours a week or 50, 60 hours a week, right? Collective brain power, huge. If you can do it, it'll build morale, it'll build a team, it'll build a good culture. We're good enough is probably when you get lapped by the competition.
So we're talking about lean and continuous improvement here, but you guys are just two of the magic wizards that work at FastLane. You've got a number of other people that can help with a number of other things.
Correct.
Matt and I just happen to be 2 of 12, and we're the subject matter experts for lean and automation, respectively. We have other members of our team who concentrate on cyber, operational excellence, workforce development, but everybody on the team has got a background in manufacturing or engineering, so we're definitely here to help.
So to that point, if somebody were looking for your help, where would they find you? What's the best way to reach you?
So if you want to go to the web, you would look us up at fastlane-mep.org, or the email is fastlane@udri.udayton.edu. And then our phone number, 937-229-1368.
We appreciate you both coming in and sharing all of this information with us and with all of our listeners. We really appreciate your time. We appreciate your efforts in this region. And we know firsthand how important FastLane has been to a lot of manufacturers. So.
And likewise, we appreciate coming on the show, and we appreciate what Sinclair does for the region in manufacturing. So, and to provide that workforce that we much need. Sinclair does a fantastic job, and we support you guys as well.
And good luck with the Digital Thread Initiative. We hope that you can really help the region. I'm sure you will.
Well, that was a really fun interview with the gentleman from FastLane. We were super excited. They gave us so much information that we could not include it all in this podcast. But stay tuned. There could be some bonus episodes with some very valuable information from FastLane in the future. We also have our next Digital Tapestry Series workshop coming up on February 8th from 8 a.m. to noon. Once again, Lean expert facilitator Karen Broadbeck will be joining us to talk about utilizing Lean for continuous improvement. Please check out the details on Sinclair Workforce Development's website. Under Solutions, you'll see the Digital Thread Initiative tab. Click on that and you can see this upcoming workshop, register for it. You can also see all of our upcoming events. We hope to see you there.
Thank you for listening. The Digital Thread Initiative team would like to thank Sinclair College, prime contractor Arctos, the United States Air Force, and our guests for walking into the future with us. If you'd like to contact Sinclair's Digital Thread Initiative, please email sinclairdigitalthread@gmail.com.